Perfect. Hello and welcome everyone, and thank you for joining the Azure Marketplace webinar, Maximising the Benefits of your EA and Mac Commitment. We're going to look at sort of the modern day procurement process that is around what the Azure Marketplace is, and I'll do a brief introduction on who we've got here today. So myself, my name is Ryan Andrews. I am the Microsoft Alliance Manager at Ultima. I've been in the business around 15 months now, and I've been given this lovely project of Azure Marketplace, and today supporting me on that conversation is Don Melly, who is the Group Head of Cloud, and we've also got Darren Sharp, who is the GTM Lead for Marketplace at Microsoft. So you've got the pleasures of us three today covering some good bits. You know, that we're going to look at what the marketplace is, understand, you know, what vendors there are. Darren's then going to create a little bit of a landscape around what Microsoft is seeing in the channel, and then Don's going to dig a little bit deeper on, you know, what's going to be next. So jumping in, you know, what is the Azure Marketplace? I don't want to completely overcomplicate what this is, because it is a procurement route for the customer, and all parties from ISV downwards, including Microsoft and partner, are all included across this. Something that you may use every single day or often is, I'm not going to name the competitor, but they're an e-tail retailer. They have a very good marketplace for next day delivery on parcels and stuff, and this is basically what the Azure Marketplace is, right? It's going to hold a catalog of applications, services, solutions, and it's all to run on Microsoft Azure. It's on a holistic platform, it's easily searchable, and it's just here to improve that procurement service for the ISV purchasing. It's fully cloud-based, and the ease of use and the speed is what's really going to help the customer here. Traditionally, there could be a deep, enriched procurement process behind some of the things you're purchasing, and this deployment hub can centralize a lot of the end-to-end solutions that you want to provision. It's quick, it's reliable, and it's backed by your partner of choice, being Ultima, as well as our deep partnership with Microsoft as well, so that there is a good layer of support utilizing this method. So I'm just going to jump onto the next slide. So you think Azure Marketplace, you know, what is it? Well, there's another layer behind it. It's what is an MPO? It's a multi-party private offer. Is it an MPO? Is it an MPPO? It's, you know, but both acronyms get thrown around. But what it is, it's a procurement route within the marketplace that we just spoke about, and it allows ISVs to collaborate with channel partners like Ultima to create personalized offers for you, the customer. And you think, okay, that's good, but what does that translate into? So the graphic below, you can see a list of some of the top ISVs in the channel at the moment. Darren's done some incredible work over the last few months with onboarding these vendors, and not only is it his partnership, but it's also Ultima's partnership that allows us to work a lot closely with these listed partners. So have a quick scan through. There's some big names in there. We've got Cisco's, Checkpoints, Citrix, Exclaimers, Fortinet. You know, Ultima hold good relationships with the vast majority of the vendors that you see here, and they can all be transacted from the 15th of July for general availability, and any preview partner can do it right now. When you say preview partner, Ultima are one of those. Jumping on to the next slide. So to Going next layer beyond this, you want to start looking at the process behind it. So at the start, I mentioned it's like a 4-tier. So it's between the ISV, it's between Ultima, the partner, it's between you, the customer, and it's between Microsoft being the main person owning this. So how it works, it's really, really simple. So the ISV of choice, say for this example, Citrix, they create an MPO offer. That MPO is then released by Citrix on Microsoft's Partner Center to the partner. So someone like myself or someone else at Ultima will go into our Partner Center. They receive this offer from the ISV. We will then send you, the customer, a link to accept this offer. That's right. You're like, hang on, this sounds too easy. And it is very, very simple. You as the customer go into the marketplace, you accept the offer that has been shared, and you subscribe to the said ISV that has been chosen. You will then receive a bill from Microsoft, and then it fires over to the next point of Microsoft then release the relevant benefits linked. The Mac benefit itself is probably one of the main benefits here for consolidation. So any end customer with a Mac agreement can use the Mac to get degradation, use to spend. Some of the Mac agreements we have are very, very large commits, and this will significantly help with the cash flow and budgeting within the business as well. So say, for example, customer X has a 30 million Mac agreement. They can use all of those vendors that you saw on the last page, and you can start purchasing and putting it against that commitment with Microsoft. So it's really, really, really useful benefit there, as well as all the other benefits around ease of use and the speed behind procurement. That benefit there can be very, very useful. Digging a little bit lower, it then distributes payments and invoicing. So a whole procurement process as such is pretty much done in 8 simple steps. There is a few other little bits of navigation and windows and platform in between, but this is the core basis of how a deal is structured for an MPO. Moving on to the next slide. I'm now going to pass over to Darren Sharp. He's going to dig a little bit deeper on the landscape behind what Microsoft's seeing around Marketplace. So Darren, over to you.
Thanks, Ryan. Much appreciated. It's great to be here today, folks. As Ryan says, I'm Darren. I'm in our ISV team in Microsoft UK, and I've got the absolute pleasure of bringing together our fantastic services partners like Ultima with our ISVs that are transactable in Marketplace. So as Ryan says, what I just want to do is just give us some reasons as to maybe why we should be looking at cloud marketplaces, and more importantly, the Azure Marketplace with Ultima specifically. Just to dial back a second, let's give you some insights as to what we're seeing in the marketplace. No pun intended. Obviously, we've had cloud marketplaces, around us for kind of nearly 10 plus years. Actually, they're very much now becoming strategic platforms to aid you, our customers' application modernization journey. And that's really to get this balance of agility and innovation versus governance and guardrails. And it starts here. It starts with a generational shift in buying. Something like 60% of enterprise buying decisions over the next 2 years will be made by a millennial buyer. As my son says to me, Dad, you had an analog upbringing and I had a digital upbringing. Whether you believe in that or not, that's very cheeky. I'm definitely not a millennial. But that millennial buyer certainly prefers a digital first discovery experience, probably going through almost maybe 2/3 of a sales cycle before they have a conversation with Microsoft, with Ultima, with any of your independent software vendors. You are going through that discovery process. So this buy versus build approach very much gives you, the customer, the benefits of a different value profile. And what do I mean by that? You want value early on in the product. You know, I think lesser are the days now that you as customers are, you know, spending huge amounts of money on hugely featured products without getting value from the features in that product. So this is something that these cloud platforms are starting to bring together with the fantastic ecosystem advisory that is Ultima and the team you're going to hear from in a second. On to the next one, please, Ryan, if you can. And look, there's some good stats on here. You know, why are you looking at buy versus build? Well, it represents faster time to value. Within these cloud marketplace platforms, you've got not only maybe the 15 to 20 enterprise critical applications that run your business today, you've very much got a world of digital natives that are probably starting with cloud marketplaces first. If we look at the world of venture capitalist organizations, many of those VC organizations are mandating that these digital natives that they're funding are starting with cloud marketplaces. That's because they represent this elastic profile. It's less risk for that new business, but it's a fast time to value and it's a fast time to delivery to you, the customer. So in terms of search and selection, using Azure Marketplace is your holistic platform to go and discover this stuff is a very good way to do it. However, as Ryan covered when he talked about multi-party private offer, actually now what you're able to do in these platforms is enterprise contract for all these applications, provided they're transactable, on the same platform. And that's bringing together the value of Ultima as your trusted advisor, services deliverer, and cost optimizer, and the platform that can deliver this elasticity. Now, you'll see on the right hand side, and there's some great research here across the market, been around for a little while, an organization called tackle.io. They're a marketplace aggregator. They help ISVs list on cloud marketplace platforms. They also run this State of Cloud Marketplaces survey every year. Last year, actually this is the results of that on the right hand side of that survey from 2 years ago. That survey went to 5,500 respondents, asking them, why are you using the platform? Now, I'm just emphasizing the maturity here. If you're not already using Azure Marketplace and Ultima together, you can see that top right box, 48% of respondents called out that decrementing their cloud commit was the most important reason. However, what's really interesting is that, you can see even 2 years ago, the other benefits of the catalog, like accelerating time to value, simplifying management, governance and guardrails, are almost just as important as decrementing that commit now. This is a mature world, and we'd encourage you, Ultima and Microsoft between us, to come on this journey with us and look at the catalog with the advice that you're going to get from the Ultima team. And of course, lastly, just to call out, there's lots of benefits to your strategic software partners. Most of those partners will be channel first, and that means Ultima, they're the ones with the skill of delivery, the ecosystem advisory, and can help you manage those product adjacencies. But many of those ISVs are on this journey. If they're not a digital native, they're looking to give better value by delivering with a cloud marketplace to manage that elasticity, but the multi-party private offer process to manage those commercials. As Ryan covered in the process a moment ago, that's the mechanism by which that ISV can give you custom terms, custom price, and a custom end user license agreement managed by Ultima, and with that assurance that this is best commercial and technical product for you as Ultima's customer. On to the next one, please, Ryan, if we can. And look, just to give you some ideas as to why this transformational change is happening, and something we'd absolutely encourage you to start to build out this strategy. You're going to be aware of AI and Copilot because everybody's talking about it. Regardless of what your belief is there, that number is very ratified. 71% of organizations using AI. Actually, as an individual, you've probably only started using AI in earnest in the last 6 months, and you still may not even know it. But the point here is to share some interesting numbers. growth in the AI machine learning category within Azure Marketplace, within listings, has grown 141% in the last 6 months. Actually, searches for software in the AI and ML category has grown 600%. We know that you, our customers, are looking to innovate better with AI solutions, and that's going to be buying those solutions to get that fast time to value. We also know that growth in SaaS is explosive. It's the way we are choosing to deliver that elasticity. And if we look at, again, platform use within Azure Marketplace, monthly active users has gone in the last 12 months from 4 million monthly active users to 6 million monthly active users. The majority of those listings within the catalog are SaaS. They're about scale up and scale down. However, some of the challenges you might be having, whether you sit within IT or whether you sit within procurement, you might be having challenges with your line of business functions going and just standing up applications. And that gives rise to the statistic on the right-hand side, believe it or not, is ratified by a number of analysts. At least 32% of SaaS is wasted. How does that come about? Well, think about somebody in sales and marketing that's standing up a CRM application. Think about somebody in engineering that's doing the same thing, buying a different application for a very similar function, probably giving that application some headroom to allow for some scale up and scale down, and none of that being managed. So actually what we're able to offer here with an Azure Marketplace strategy delivered via Ultima is some governance and guardrails. If you consider this to be the modern day shadow IT, this SaaS sprawl as the analysts call it, actually we can start to put some controls in place here using Azure Marketplace. So it's not just about buying these point solutions with multi-party private offer through Ultima. It's not just about discovery for the small bits and pieces, the find, try, test and deploy. It's actually about holistically adopting the platform, and Ultima can absolutely help you with that. And within the platform, probably version 2 of the webinar, is that Ultima can help you deliver a private marketplace strategy. What I mean by that is it's a solution that's inherent to the catalog that enables you to put some governance and guardrails around who's buying what. We don't like the word controls. We don't want to limit innovation, but actually we want to give you a workflow that will help you understand who can get access to what, where, and when. And that governance could be based on product, could be based on spend size, could be based on category. There's many features of that, and look out for some more information from Ultima and Microsoft and how you can implement that into your business. Ryan, on to the next one, please, if we can. Thank you. So look, don't just take my word for it. I would absolutely encourage you to look at the Total Economic Impact Survey. You can search for it, or we can forward it out to you post the event today. It's the Total Economic Impact Survey of the Azure Marketplace. And, we're showing some fairly bolshy numbers here in terms of some of the procurement benefits you can get from using the catalog and using this enterprise procurement strategy through the great team at Ultima. Actually, what sits underneath this, if you go and read that paper, is a fairly comprehensive time and motion study as to the procurement benefits, as to some of those numbers we showed from the tackle.io statistics a moment ago, really working through in your own businesses how we can drive some of these operational efficiencies. So it's not just about retiring your cloud commit. The very largest of enterprises have those cloud commits. We know that 42% of cloud marketplace users globally are SMB. You won't have a commit. Actually, you're going to see some benefits in holistically managing this process with a cloud marketplace and a great partner, great modernizing partner like Ultima. And some of these benefits will absolutely be realized. That Forrester report, that Total Economic Impact paper, will help you analyze that in your own business. And of course, again, you've got the great team at Ultima to help you go through that kind of software lifecycle management understanding. The key to this, though, however, is to get started. It's to get started and look at a transaction. It's to get started, and maybe there's something coming up within your business that you're thinking, can we transact it in this way? Key to this is, does it have a get it now button within the marketplace? Then have that conversation with Dom, Ryan, and the Ultima team as to how they can help you with their channel first discounts, their relationships, their technical precedents to deliver that multi-party private offer for you. And it's when you as a customer will start doing one with your trusted advisor like Ultima that you'll start to look at how we can deliver this together in the rest of your business holistically. That will be my best advice. So look, fantastic to talk to you today from the Microsoft perspective, and it's great to be working with such an innovative partner like Ultima. Ryan, back to you. Oh, sorry, Dom, back to you, sir.
Thank you, Darren. We'll now go to Dom Melly to talk about what is next.
My microphone should work now. Beg pardon. The old on the desk microphone being out of sync with the computer. So apologies, guys. Thank you, everyone. Like Darren mentioned, the kind of key part of this is kind of how to get started. Hearing about this stuff is all great, but actually, if you can't make that into something practical and useful for you guys, then you're never going to get started, right? So Microsoft have brought out the a framework for how to adopt following the best practice. The general advice right now, right? This is all very new. Like Darren mentioned, it's going to general availability on the 15th. We're still finding our way, everyone, together to the best process. And it's going to be tailored more towards individual businesses than a sort of overarching, you follow these steps and everything will just work out fine for everybody, right? So right now, we're all focusing in around the education and enablement stages of this flow. And the best advice at this point in time is to find something in your organization that you are already using that can go into the marketplace and just try it out. Find something low risk, right? You don't jump straight into your Citrix environment. That's obviously going to be a separate nightmare not to contend with at this stage, but find something that you can go through the process with and test without causing major risks or disruption to your organization. And then we get into the more meaty part of this process. Ryan, if you could jump to the next slide for me. The next two phases are really the critical ones, and organizations with a history and experience of established software asset management practices will probably have a bit of a leg up here, right? Certainly we've seen it this way with our customers so far. The key starts off with that sort of ability to discover your own shadow IT, if there is any. And the challenge is that obviously not all SaaS providers will automatically hook into your AD and allow you to single sign-on, which makes discovery difficult. So the key question to ask at this point is whether or not your SAM tools have the ability to detect your SaaS applications. Typically, we'll probably see those kind of rely on centralized authentication methods and API discovery, and tools like USU, which I'm told reliably by my team was previously Aspera, and places like Flexera, for example. Those tools have the capability to automatically detect things that authenticate centrally and go through API connections. You can also use things like Intune and the 365 Admin Center to detect where your users are authenticating via M365 single sign-on. But the key thing to look out for in these tools is to make sure that the capability is being activated. So the sort of shadow IT detection capability is often locked behind a separate license that you may be paying for, but may not have activated, or you might have to reach into pocket, unfortunately, to find. But the key part of this discovery process is to make sure that you can get an idea for exactly which SaaS providers you are using in the organization, when your contracts are up with them, or whether they're monthly rolling, that sort of thing, and how many users are actively using. And if you piece together that visibility starting point, your plan will probably quite rapidly evolve for you without you having to think about it much. It'll be quite clear what the right sort of actions will be. The next step is to assess that list of suppliers and vendors that you're working with and identify the wastage. Darren mentioned that 32% of SaaS raw is waste, and it's that piece that is really critical to kind of reduce down so you get the commercial benefits first and foremost. And it's the same for anything, right? This is probably nothing new at all. But if you start off with getting down to a base level of your spend, you make sure you've taken the knife, you've carved away the fat to take away excessive users, excessive features that you're not using, Have you made sure that the users have the right level of access to the right pieces of the functionality that they need? And at that point, you're in a good place to start the conversation with Ultima and with your third-party vendors, so that we can have a practical negotiation that won't lead you to being in a wasteful position before you even started. So those last three phases are really important to me personally, but to the organization at large. And obviously, when we're talking about marketplace as a kind of transaction route, the whole flow is where it's critical to you as customers. So I guess the key takeaway for this piece is very much around, if you haven't got the sound best practices and the sort of established processes to be able to identify and then assess where your sprawl is and reduce that down to a base level for that commercial negotiation with that vendor, then obviously we're here to help. We can support you in establishing those practices. We can provide you our insights into recommended tooling to help support this, and then our relationship with these vendors at that assess phase to come in and work with you to get you the best price possible on that multi-party private offer, which will lead you into that transact phase. And that will start creating that behavior, like Darren mentioned, where your default route to buying and purchasing SaaS applications will be through the Azure Marketplace, retired against your MAC agreement, making it a far less risky proposition for you to commit to a sufficiently large agreement with Microsoft that gets you the best discounts on your Azure consumption, whilst at the same time de-risking your ability to get to that commitment level with them. As is always the way, we've planned for a nice long webinar and gotten through the content quite quickly. Hopefully you guys have found it informative, helpful. Like I said, any questions on how you can adopt any marketplace sort of transaction, as well as the sound practices and the behaviors that go behind it. If you're looking for advice or guidance on which vendors to work with and how to get the best prices, please reach out to the team. We'll be really happy to help. If you start with your account manager, you'll get through to us certainly. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to Ryan and myself directly. Thank you to Darren and Ryan for this session. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. Any questions, please feel free to fire them over.